Death holds no terror for those who stand for truth. Surrender to disgrace does. Guard the banner, it is the soul of this nation. We will make the mightiest army on earth fear 3,000 warriors. This is the story of Mutah, where crushing odds became undying legend, where 3,000 souls stood against an empire that spanned continents. The Battle of Mutah carries a timeless message. No matter how slim your chances appear, never abandon hope. With resolve, strategy, and faith in God, victory is never truly beyond reach. Our story begins not on a battlefield, but with the violation of one of civilization's oldest and most sacred laws, the protection of envoys. The Prophet Muhammad's primary method of spreading Islam was peaceful outreach, not conquest. He dispatched letters to rulers across the known world, inviting them to embrace the faith or at least permit its message to be heard within their lands. One such messenger, Harith ibn Umair al-Azdi, a man renowned for his integrity and diplomatic skill, was sent northward to the Ghassanid Christian Arab tribes' Roman allies to deliver the Prophet's invitation to their king. Harith carried a letter bearing the Prophet's seal. Under every recognized code of civilization, that document guaranteed his safe passage. But somewhere within Ghassanid territory, the unthinkable occurred. He was seized and executed in cold blood. When word reached Medina, the response was immediate. Killing a protected messenger was not merely an insult, it was an open declaration of war. The Prophet's aim was not only to avenge his companion's blood, but to safeguard future envoys and ensure Islam's message could reach other peoples unimpeded. The expedition was announced Thursday night. By Friday evening, 3,000 men stood ready to march. Their enemy was no local Arabian tribe. This was an entirely different scale of power. The Ghassanids, the most powerful Arab client state of the Roman Empire, which controlled continents. The destination lay nearly 1,000 kilometers away, across the blistering heat of the Arabian desert. Before departure, the Prophet made an unprecedented command decision. He appointed not one but 3 successive commanders. The structure itself suggested he foresaw the possibility of catastrophic losses. The first banner was placed in the hands of Zayd ibn Haritha. This appointment stunned the army. Zayd was not Qurayshi, not from any prominent tribe. Years before, he had been a slave, captured as a child, sold in markets, and eventually freed by the Prophet himself. After gaining his freedom, Zayd had chosen to remain, bound not by chains, but by love and loyalty. In an Arabia where lineage determined a man's worth, appointing a freed slave to command warriors from the noblest families was revolutionary. It was Islam's direct challenge to the old order, a declaration that this new community was built on righteousness, not bloodlines. As the Quran states in Surah 49-13, the most honored of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you. The night before departure, Zayd was seen bidding farewell to his son Usama as though he might never return. Second in command was Ja'far ibn Abi Talib, the Prophet's cousin, older brother of Ali, and a man whose eloquence could inspire the most battle-hardened warrior. Yet no one should mistake his diplomatic grace for weakness. Ja'far had led cavalry charges that shattered enemy formations, and his personal combat abilities were legendary throughout Arabia. Third was Abdullah ibn Rawaha, the warrior poet, a man whose words alone could shift the tide of despair. His appointment was strategically sound. If both Zayd and Ja'far fell, the army would risk psychological collapse. Abdullah's power lay in his ability to transform grief into momentum through the sheer force of language. As the Muslim army marched north, the Ghassanid king assembled 100,000 fighters. Then the Roman emperor, upon learning of the approaching force, dispatched an additional 100,000 reinforcements. 200,000 soldiers against 3,000. The trap was elegant in its cruelty. Rather than meeting the Muslims at the border, the Ghassanids allowed them to advance deep into Roman territory, where retreat and reinforcement would both become impossible. On the 6th day of the march, scouts returned with reports that seemed impossible to believe. Dust clouds stretching beyond the horizon. The full weight of an empire's military power, arrayed and waiting. That night, Zayd, Ja'far, and Abdullah held the most consequential war council in early Islamic history. 2 options lay before them: attack at dawn and die with honor, or withdraw and preserve the army. After hours of debate, Zayd made the final call. They would attack, not because victory was expected, but because some principles matter more than survival. At sunrise, Zayd raised the banner of Islam and led from the front. His tactics were immediately striking. Rather than stretching his forces thin to match the enemy's line, he concentrated his men at specific pressure points, manufacturing local advantages against an opponent that vastly outnumbered him overall. The Ghassanid commander, watching from his position, began to feel the first flicker of unease. The battle should have ended within the hour. Instead, every gap torn in the Muslim ranks was instantly filled by another warrior stepping forward to take his fallen brother's place. 6 days passed. The Romans had expected an hour's work. On the seventh day, the Ghassanid command recognized the source of Muslim resilience: Zayd, the man holding the banner. They directed the full weight of an army of 200,000 toward a single man. Witnesses recorded that he never took a step backward. When his body finally began to give way, his only concern was the banner. As Ja'far moved to support him, Zayd refused assistance, insisting only, "The banner, Ja'far, do not let it fall." Ja'far seized it. He fought with the banner in one hand and his sword in the other, his battle cries rallying the remaining Muslim force even as the lines buckled. When a Roman cavalry charge broke through the left flank, threatening to encircle what remained of the army, Ja'far made a conscious sacrifice. He drove his horse directly into the cavalry formation, banner raised, drawing the entire assault onto himself to buy the army time to regroup. His right hand was severed. He transferred the banner to his left. His left hand was cut away. He pressed the banner against his chest with both arms and continued. He sustained over 90 wounds before his body simply ceased to function. Abdullah ibn Rawaha emerged from the fighting to seize the fallen banner. The poet-warrior composed verses aloud as he fought, turning the battlefield itself into living verse. When the spear finally brought him down, the banner dropped to the blood-soaked earth. From the chaos, a figure stepped forward, not appointed by any fallen commander, but recognized instantly by every surviving warrior as their only remaining hope. Khalid ibn al-Walid took the banner. Far away in Medina, the Prophet ﷺ had been describing the battle in real time to his companions. When the third commander fell, he said quietly, "Now the banner has been taken by one of the swords of Allah, and Allah will grant victory through his hands." It was the first time Khalid would be called Saifullah, the drawn sword of God, a name he would carry through more than 100 battles without a single defeat. That night, Khalid did not plan a final heroic charge. He planned something far more dangerous, a deception. He rotated the entire army's positions, moving frontline fighters to the rear and vice versa, swapping left and right flanks and replacing the banners with new colors. At first light, when Byzantine scouts looked toward the Muslim camp, they saw unfamiliar formations, fresh banners and dust clouds, suggesting significant reinforcements had arrived overnight.